What's up guys? Today we're gonna make an inverted Charmander. This is an art idea I've had for at least 2 years and I'm so excited to bring it to life. First we're gonna load in our Charmander and then scale it to fit to our build plate, which is gonna maximize its size. It's huge! I'm so excited. Next we're gonna add in some supports. This is gonna make sure we have a successful print and nothing falls off and doesn't get left behind. Once we're happy with that, we're then gonna slice it, and this is gonna tell us how long and how much this will cost. So it's predicting it's gonna take about 18 hours print time and around $107 worth of resin. So this new printer that I got is not cheap. And speaking of new printer, check this out. Last week I ordered the Peopoly Phenom NOIR. Basically, this is one of the fastest resin 3D printers on the market. It was so big that it came in its own custom-made crate. And it was so heavy that I had to get my cousin Jeremy to help me move it in. Once we got into its spot, I then unboxed it. Just for context, the week before, I bought a $250 3D resin printer. Yes, they are that cheap. I was so obsessed that a week later, I went from entry level to now a professional grade 3D resin printer. It's got this beautiful orange UV front, and the build plate is 4 times the size of my entry-level one. Not only that, it prints 10 times faster than my previous model. And let's pause the video for a second. Guys, I've been gone for like 2-3 weeks, and I apologize to people that watch me over here on YouTube, but take my hand and let me tell you why. Here we have one of my YouTube videos, 20,000 views. Here we have the exact same video, 14 million views. Okay, back to YouTube. 52,000 views on YouTube. 1.9 million views over on TikTok. 14,000 views on YouTube. 3.4 million views on TikTok. Needless to say, TikTok just treats me better. It's not your fault watching. I love you guys. It's the algorithms. YouTube's algorithm just doesn't like my content. TikTok blasts my content all over the For You page multiple times a week. It took me 7 years to get 100 million views on YouTube, which I'm super proud of. It took me 28 days to get 52 million on TikTok. Anyways, back to the video. When I was in high school, we used to do this prank where we got somebody's phone and we'd do this specific setting, which is sort of hidden and tough to turn off. We're gonna utilize that in today's video. Here's how you do it. So basically, on the iPhone, under Settings, you go to Accessibility. Next, you're gonna hit Display and Text Size. Now in here, there's a setting called Classic Invert. I don't know why it's really a setting, but when you flick it, all of the colors get flipped to its opposite. So white is now black, green is pink, so on. It is very confusing, and oddly enough, it makes it feel like you've never used an iPhone before. But the prank here is that it's kind of a hard feature to find and turn off. As you can see, if you go to camera, everything is inverted, and this is what we're gonna do to Charmander today. Step 1 is we're gonna top up our vat with UV resin. Now this is $100 a liter, and in this tank we're gonna pour 2 liters, so $200 worth of resin. Charmander, costing $107, is using more than 1 bottle. We're gonna load up our prints, and as you can see, there's our Charmander. And one of my favorite things is when the build plate gets submerged at the start of each print. Now I left this to print overnight. This is about 2/3 of the way done. All that's left is his head. Well, that was finishing up. I went to the craft store and it was time to buy the paint. This DIY is all about color. And so we had to use the feature on our phone under camera mode to be able to see which colors we need to purchase. So I was literally holding my phone up filming the paint section with this feature turned on so I could see what colors I needed. We got his orange body, his yellow tail flame, and his sort of beige belly. But in reality, those were all just different variants of blue. I headed home and put some gloves on, and it was time to take our Charmander out of our printer. This was my first large print on this new machine. I was a little nervous because it was an expensive failure if it went wrong, but it didn't. It's amazing. It worked out great. We're gonna remove the supports. And then I just used the scraper to get underneath him to get rid of the other smaller supports and free him from the build plate. Once that was done, I gave him a bath in mean green solution. Now this is a degreaser. I ran out of isopropyl alcohol, which works a lot better. It just took a little bit longer. You had to sort of scrub off the resin. Once most of the uncured resin was off, we had to give him a bath to get rid of all of that mean green that was on him. Now this is what animals experience while they're in the bath. I totally get why they're scared. This whole thing just seems traumatizing. And just like that, all of the uncured resin is pretty much gone off for our Charmander. Now it's time for the post-curing under UV Blacklight. We're gonna load them into our chamber pot, and we're gonna put the blacklight on top for 3 to 5 minutes, and then coming back, flipping them over, and doing that about 4 different times, each with a 3 to 5 minute cure time. Once he was done, he actually came out with a little tan. It's super cute. This resin yellows under UV light, which is fine because we're gonna paint it. Next, it was time to sand. At this point, I realized I should have a dust mask, but check out the jacket. Pokemon jacket! I did that for you guys, just so you know. Put on my dust mask, and it was time to sand. Now I went from 100 grit to 5,000 grit to make sure it was as smooth as possible. This process also took me about 2 hours of pure sanding. And the reason why there's like lines on the camera, it's just the lights are messing with the frame rate of my GoPro. Next, it was time to paint it. So we grabbed our blue, which when it's inverted is orange, the color of Charmander's skin. Loaded it into our airbrush gun hopper, put in some paint thinner so our acrylic paint can actually flow through our airbrush, stirred it up, and began painting. It is kind of weird to see Charmander as a blue. Now my airbrush gun was giving me a little bit of trouble. I don't know if I got the mixture of paint thinner correct, so it kind of came out very thin. People ask if I meditate. The answer is no, because I don't really know how, to be honest. However, in this state that you're watching right now is where I'm at my ultimate happy, peaceful state. Like some people, it's to go to a beach. For me, it's to work on an exciting art piece that I've wanted to do for a while. I don't know, I just can't explain it. The best feeling. A couple coats later, and our Charmander's skin is pretty much done. A nice, solid, darker blue. Now we're gonna load in a navy blue, which when it's inverted is a brighter color. It's kind of confusing. This one flowed much nicer than the first color. So I did his belly in a navy blue, which when inverted should be beige. And I went all the way underneath his tail, all the way to his tail flame. Next, it was time for his tongue, so we had to do a green. We did this with a brush. It was gonna be more accurate than using an airbrush gun. But I did use the airbrush gun to dry each layer. And in the back of his tongue, we did a light green. Dried it off with the airbrush gun. And then moved over to his eyes. I went back to the airbrush just because it was pretty much an oval shape. It was gonna be very easy to do. I wasn't too concerned if I went outside the lines because I was gonna do a final coat of blue in the highly detailed areas. Next, it was time for his eye color, which you probably can't guess. It's neon pink. So I went in with the brush again, just because it was more of a detailed spot. Painted his eyes neon pink. Once that was done, it was time to move to the black. Now I'm using the world's mattest and blackest black paint available. We did his nails. Again, we used a brush just because of the fine detail. We also did his pupils. And lastly, we did his teeth. Now Charmander only has 4 of these little cute baby teeth. Now it's time for his tail flame. Now, if I did this correctly, his tail flame should be teal, which when flipped should be red. And then I used a third variant of blue, but I didn't dilute this with paint thinner, so it was gonna sort of come out really splotchy from my air gun, which made it have this ember looking effect. You can even hear it. Once all that was done, it was time to cover it with a clear coat. We're using a low odor clear matte finish. You could actually spray this inside, but we figured just do it outside anyway. We gave him a couple coats of this just to protect his paint color. And just like that, my art piece is done. Here's the big reveal. Boom! It looks so good. It looks exactly like Charmander. The colors are spot on. If you guys are gonna do this DIY is all about colors. You have to get the right shade of his inverted color. There's a lot of different blues, but not all of them are gonna be Charmander orange. I love it so much. It just adds more of an interactive piece. When people come over to your house and they say, oh, that Charmander's the wrong color, you instruct them to then take out their phone and check what it would be in an inverted colored world. So there you guys have it. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I thought about selling it, but then I realized that this was over $107 of resin. I don't know. If there's any Pokemon collectors out there that might want one, they're kind of sick. I'm not saying I'll do it, but maybe I'll do it. Thank you so much for watching. Please follow me over on Instagram where you can see an additional photo of this. Also, I've got a really big announcement coming out tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean April 9th. I still love you so much. You've been with me for the entire ride, whereas these other platforms necessarily haven't. It's just my content falls into a better algorithm on these other platforms, and YouTube, I don't know what's going on. You guys are always saying I'm not popping up on your stuff. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. See you guys later.